Hey there, fellow female activists, your wellness coach, Cathy. We are here for a recommendation playlist video, and we are talking about batching, okay, batching to simplify your life. And we'll get into that as soon as we go through our positive quotient repetitions. Positive quotient repetitions or PQ reps. So if anyone's new here, hi, hello. We always start our wellness or our recommendation playlist with a way to really dive into and connect between our mind and our bodies. Okay, we want those to work together. So, however you wish, you can close your eyes if you feel safe, and if you can, only if you're safe. And what we're going to do is you can be sitting, standing, you can be laying down. And what I want us to do is no matter what position you're in, I want you to roll back your shoulders and I want you to grow your spine tall. Okay. That's going to help us with this PQ session. So I'm going to close my eyes. And what I want us to do, again, you're nice broad, okay, in your stance for your chest. And what I want us to do is something very simple. I want us to place a hand, doesn't matter which one, on your belly. And all you're going to do is notice and observe your breath. No judgment, just observe. What's happening with your hand? And again, no judgment. What sensations do you feel? And you're not changing the breath. You're letting it happen naturally. What parts of your body feel that sensation of your breath? Now go ahead and move your hand closer to where you would feel your heart, however that looks. What sensations are you experiencing now? No judgment. You can go ahead and put your hand down. Now we're going to change the sense. If you're able, go ahead and listen to the furthest away sound you can hear. Now listen to the closest sound you can hear. And when you're ready, if you did so, go ahead and blink your eyes open and come on back. Now, depending on what state of mind you're in before we started that, you may not feel really much difference. And if you were kind of in a more what we would call fight or flight type of situation or feeling, you might feel a little less stressed right now. And that's the goal. So now back to our scheduled topic, which is batching. So BATCHING, 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 batching. You can look it up. You might find, various definitions for it. The way I have learned it, and this was back, funny enough, again, we've probably all batched, whether that's for meal preps or whether that's what I'm going to talk about today, batching task, okay, throughout your day or through your waking hours, okay, to simplify your lifestyle. And we just didn't call it that, okay? So I learned the word batching back in 2016 when I invested in myself and secured my first or started to pay, right, for my first fitness coach. So batching was something that I hadn't really, I guess, had the concept of, right? The concept didn't ever come into my general lifestyle. Or for that, for that exact reason, like the word itself didn't really come up. But batching, okay, has different definitions, but the one we're going to concentrate on, okay, is the one in which it will help you, okay, simplify your lifestyle. So batching tasks, all right, it doesn't matter what it may be. Okay, in this case, you can use the example of maybe batching meal, okay, batching meals or meal prep, batching. So it's an idea that you are going to collectively, okay, in a span of time, get as much done as possible. Okay. And what that's going to do is that it will free up time later on, okay, during your week. And this is really important, especially right now. And it will probably make a lot more sense if I were to give you the example, okay, of meal prep. So my coach, okay, I went through their month program the first time, and or the first time that I invested in myself, right, as and had them as my coach, or invested in myself and in them so that they could be my coach. The program was only a month, and within that month, I literally only took probably 2 days. Maybe it might have been at least 4 days out of that whole month. And it was May. It was May of 2016. I probably cooked only 4 times that whole month. Why? Because before the month started, I batched and I had enough food that lasted me literally for 2 weeks. And remember, May is like 5 weeks, right? So it's a longer month. And then I think I only had to possibly, prepare a few meals here and there, but I literally only batched, okay, I meal prepped maybe at the most, it wasn't 4 times, but it was at least 2 times in that month. So I meal prepped or I batched all my meals into a very short frame of time. Now, yes, it was a pain in the butt. And now there's a lot more, meal prep services that you might want to invest in. And I will say this, that when I batched all my meals, okay, and again, it was for a program. So I had I got to choose which meals I wanted to invest in, i.e., I wanted to prepare. And I went for the easiest, right? And I was okay, obviously repeating meals in the same week or so, but nonetheless, I literally found that in that month, I literally gave back myself at least 3 to 4 hours a day. And I am serious. Why? Because we spend so much time wasting time on thinking, okay, what am I going to eat today? Um, that unpreparedness, okay, and it's not like you meant to be unprepared, or rather that's just, how it goes. No one had taught you, and no one taught me, oh, you could actually prep your meals in advance, and that might make it easier. And I'm not talking like the day before or the evening before, right? I'm talking about like literally like planning your meals. And it's funny because we don't ever think about batching as being part of our everyday lives, but yet it happens all the time. If you went to any school, okay, specifically for sure public schools, they always shared the monthly lunch menu. And sometimes breakfast, right? Breakfast and lunch would be shown on this menu. That's batching. They have prepared meals in some cases in advance, right? Same goes for any particular task within your daily routine that you would want to make a lot more efficient. Batching is the way to do so. And I say so in this time frame because we are in a very, very unforgiving time in history, because we are living through history quite literally. There will be, written word about what has happened here in not just the United States, but worldwide, okay, in this time period for sure. And one thing for sure is that time is at a premium, more so than ever. And when we batch, okay, whether that's our meals, whether that's, let's say, how we decide how we want to move our bodies, right? There are ways to batch multiple tasks together so that we save time daily. Another example of this, many of you have heard of the book Atomic Habits. It's a really popular book, but it's not necessarily new in its, I guess you could say, concept, right? The idea of batching is many, many, generations down the road, right? Like, I mean, like batching is not something new. The concept itself is not new. How we view it, though, is new. So in that book, Atomic Habits, it's very clear that the author wants you to create, okay, useful, efficient, and very helpful habits, right? One critical way that this happens, and it's talked about in the book Atomic Habits, is simply how you get into that rhythm to begin with. Well, that's actually about batching. Okay. So in the instance of, let's say you want to start, moving your body more, well, you got to get in that rhythm first. Well, when you batch that task, okay, of movement, what do you need to start moving your body? Well, in some cases, you could just get up and move, right? You could walk around your, like, it doesn't take much if, assuming you have accessibility in some way, shape, or form, right, to move your body. But what I'm getting at is, let's say you decide, okay, to take on a coach, and then that coach wants you to, if you decide to, right, collectively to go to a gym, or maybe you do decide, I'm just going to start with an easy walk around the block. That's easy. And that's actually an example, I believe, in the book. What you'd want to do is batch the actual movement process, meaning, okay, well, if I want to move my body, I mean, you can pretty much walk in anything, right? But you probably want to have some walking shoes, or at least shoes that are going to be comfortable, right? So comfortable shoes. You're going to want to have, at least clean clothing in some instances, right? Uh, just, to have something to wear overall. And you probably maybe want to wear a wearable device, maybe, right? You don't have to, but you might want to. And then what else? Oh, and then hydration, very important. So you think about, okay, all the criteria, all of the necessities that would warrant me starting a movement practice. Then you say, okay, out of all these items, okay, how do I make these work in my favor so that I start moving my body? Well, you could very easily say, okay, my water, I get to prep that, meaning I want to have enough water in my water bottle, or I want to have a water pack, whatever the case is. You would, and this is the example in the book, you would assemble all of the necessary movement items that then will make your movement practice actually happen. Okay, so even if you don't make it to the movement practice the next day or the next evening, whichever you prefer, right? You have gathered, you have batched everything together that you require ahead of time, and now it's ready for your use when you need it. Okay, that's batching. Another instance would be, if you are familiar, okay, I am no longer affiliated, but I am a professional organizer, and I can show you how to batch into 5 categories, okay, of your environment, your physical environment, so that you can literally get organized for life, okay? But there's five categories, okay, that happens in, and there's a batching system that takes you through those 5 categories. Everything about humans is about basically connecting from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. When we batch, okay, we are conserving our most important resource, which is time, quite literally. So batching, okay, can mean consolidating at any time, and when it comes to what can I get done that's semi-related, right? Like, so in case of movement, right, there's a lot of different ways that someone can move their body. They can move their body in their residence. They can move their body in a gym. They can move their body, like it runs the gamut, right? But the idea of batching your movement time means, okay, everything that I require to make that movement habit take place, okay, to actually perform that habit is going to happen in a condensed short of time, meaning I'm going to have everything prepared ahead. So my brain doesn't make up excuses. Oh, well, I don't have time for that. No, you've taken that out of the equation. You have the time because now what might have taken you 15 minutes to gather all these set items, you did that the 24 hours ahead of time, right? Or 8 hours ahead, you get what I'm saying. So batching your lifestyle is as simple as saying, okay, how can I consolidate seemingly sometimes even unrelated tasks, but how can I batch multiple tasks so that I am conserving time later? It takes a certain amount of practice, especially if you're new to the practice of batching, quite literally, right? Again, I told you the word batching, I might have had looked in the dictionary before I knew that the word existed, but I didn't use it in this way, right? It didn't have that definition of consolidating time. But I assure you, when you start thinking of ways to batch, okay, your lifestyle, you start realizing how many actual habits you have that are seemingly related. And it makes it even easier then to say, okay, well, you know what? When I have this task, I could probably get this task done, or at least, merge them in some way by batching. There is nothing wrong, okay, about being singular in how you perform one task at a time. That's how our brains actually work. We should not be multitasking. And don't get confused with me saying, oh, I want you to batch multiple tasks together. What I'm saying is that we can still have singular focus on a task, but what we're hoping to accomplish is that we are going to take maybe similar type tasks and we're going to get them done as close together as possible so that we have saved time later. Right now, time is premium and it's running super fast. And there's actually truth behind this is that unfortunately, because of how humans have destroyed the earth, basically, but also the universe itself, the Milky Way, the sun, the earth, our solar system in and itself has actually accelerated some, but in more so ways, the earth, okay? Our earth is changing because of the human element, right? So time literally is kind of racing, is going faster. But, and what I want to get across again is that when we batch in some way, shape, or form, we are condensing any type of tasks that otherwise we don't want to get done. And we don't have that excuse anymore because we've now put it into a condensed amount of time. And once it's done, we can move on and get on to something fun or have time with family or, you add in the blank. Batching is a wonderful way to ensure that what needs to get done will get done. And it's also ensuring that what you want to add in, you will find time for. Okay. So with that, I look forward to seeing you in the next video and we'll take it from there. Until next time, take care and take charge.